at Florida, it was not number one on our hit parade, and I wouldn't say it's number one now. But more than that, just once again about how to run a program, because the alignment of the staff and the support staff. Big time. I mean, we used to do drills before practice and stopped it. I mean, the wear and tear, and you start losing. And we didn't lose starters, but we lost a bunch of the 2s and 3s, and that just, we don't have a scout offensive line right now because of injuries. And so that much different approach than we've ever had. We went full pads on Tuesday and uppers on Wednesday, and then we started cutting out even way back as the season progressed. And but just the amount of contact, because even when you're in uppers, it used to be you're still, but we really backed off. That's a good question. Texas and obviously I'd put Georgia right up there as well. I think New Jersey and Ohio are similar, great talent, just not the depth because of the decline of population. We're in Pennsylvania. I'd put Pennsylvania, usually just talent-rich states, and now they still are. Great football players. Obviously our team's built from that, but just not the depth maybe in the past. I remember when I first went to Notre Dame in 1996, where there'd be, I had Western Pennsylvania and Northeastern Ohio, and you'd have a big chunk of players to go recruit, and it's just smaller now. I'm not saying the quality, because the quality's still there. It's just the depth.
So that may be more difficult for North Lineman teams to get here. I mean, it's been a long time since we've been full Lineman teams meet in the championship.
I think that's real. Once again, I think that the quality's there. If you had to say the best player in that state compared to it's there's argument that there's better. I'd take an Ohio kid in a minute. It's just, can you have 18 of them? And then you have our rivals, Penn State, Notre Dame, and you're all going after those same kids. So same thing with Chicago. Chicago used to be, I want to say 4 times, just the quantity is the thing that's concerning, not the quality. Ryan Stamper, one of the guys on my staff now, was a captain of the 08 National Championship team when we played Oklahoma. Oklahoma was the same type of thing, 16 to 18 seconds. They ran a tempo. And I used him a lot because I went back to those practice schedules, and he said as hard as we worked, the first 15 minutes of the game, he didn't breathe. It's just so fast. So we've been trying to prepare him, because I think it's his mental as much as anything. And so we've certainly practiced it. Now it's just to be able to fight the demons, because there's going to be demons telling you it's called your body. Well, we certainly watched it over and over again, and I think Arizona played great, and I just think it was a great football game, and Oregon lost. Some things maybe schematically we looked at, but that's all we took from it. I don't want to sound simplistic, but Oregon played really well. Well, if you remember, we had 2 turnovers. They drove the ball the length twice, and one was a 4th down, and one was an interception. And the offense that I was very involved in didn't do its job. They came out and played a different structured defense. We're ready. That was to get into, it was 7-7 at halftime, and then we were able to get some thoughts together at halftime. But that was defense played outstanding that day. It's bizarre. I mean, it's like I said, this is all, I'm trying to get our guys back sooner, get them on routine as fast as you can, and I think they did it right. To come for a whole week and have dinners again and all the whole experience, I think we had that. That's good. I think for the 1 year, the CFP had done a great job. whoever. I can't imagine those minds coming together and saying, let's try it. It's never been done before. We start classes on Monday. Think about that. So here's a group of players that they started in August. They got a couple days off for Christmas, and that was it. On Thanksgiving, we play our rival. Just think about that. So every other person in the world is experiencing life. Our life is a locker room and a practice field and a game, and that's why I admire these guys. And you talk about great lessons for life that these kids. You talk about selfish. Why would they do that? It's for the love of each other, love of the university. There's no other reason, because there'd be every reason to complain and whine. And so August 4th until January 12th, you had 3 days off for Christmas. And by the way, when you go home, study your iPads. Think about that. I don't hear that much around when they're talking about payoffs for conferences and all that. What about those kids? And I think there's enough common sense in this world that every time any committee will ever get together again to have any conversation about a college football schedule, there needs to be student athlete and coach representatives, and that has to happen. And I'm sure with the help of you guys, that will never happen without the proper representation at those meetings. Oh, I'm not sure yet. We're still just in the preparation phase.
How much do you want guys like all on the same page, basically, and how much do you want push and pull in the room and debate?
Great question. And that's when you hire staff. You can have a bunch of bobbleheads. That's not real intriguing to me. That's where I think Tom Herman was not good. He was great. Ed Warner's not good. He was great. I had Steve Adazio and Dan Mullen at Florida, and they're very different. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is selfless. And if you carry, because your idea might not go. And at some point, the coordinator and myself, I said, okay, we're done. Let's go. This is it. So I like a lot of push and pull in there. But I also, and I've been really fortunate, at the end of the day, man, put your hand in the middle here. We're one for all for one. And that's where I think Tom Herman and Ed Warner have done such a really good job.
And the game plan that you have now for this game, is it better than it would have been at the end of year one, maybe because you guys have been together?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's much different. We've also recruited a little bit to our scheme. But just the staff, because the staff knows inside out, upside down our offense. That first season, I think we led the Big Ten in scoring, and I still have no idea. It was because of Braxton was really fast. That's why.
You were talking about the players a minute while ago. I wondered if you got any feedback from them.
On what?
You were talking about the player time commitment.
Yeah.
Do you have any feedback from them on how the NCAA travel decision to help the families out?
Oh yeah. We've had a lot of feedback. Once again, I talked to Dr. Emmert, and I think that's A1A. I've always been a big fan of it. You'll hear people just rip apart the NCAA, and I'm wondering why. The NCAA does a great job. The NCAA is us. It's not like the NCAA is a separate entity. It's a bunch of university presidents, faculty reps, and ADs that are all coming up with ideas, so I'm not sure everybody understands that. And so I think the NCAA should have more power in enforcing rules, because once again, the NCAA is the member institutions. So I think they've done a great job. I think they're trying. I think once again this is completely uncharted waters, and to reach out and assist a student athlete and their families, I think that's one of the monumental things that's ever happened in the sport. I haven't thought much about it. I think that's intriguing, especially, I don't know. I haven't given much thought to that. Yeah, it starts all spring, yeah. It's called Real Life Wednesdays, and it started several years ago. It's been overwhelming success. Kids already have job offers for when they're done playing football. Not the 2.0 person that doesn't go to class, but the 3.0 guy that does it right. He should. Ohio State's a powerful institution. So we have people come in and speak, and I think universities have an obligation not to just get them a degree, but point him in the right direction, and we take that very seriously.
Josh Harris, Alex Smith, and so I like the three guys in front of
Chris Leak, Braxton Miller, Kenny Guyton, now Cardell Jones, J.T. Barrett. That's good. I love saying that. So the question is about Josh Harris, one of the best players ever been around. Skinny kid from Utah named Alex Smith, did okay. Chris Leak, national champion. Tim Tebow, Heisman national champion. Braxton Miller, Big Ten Player of the Year 2 years in a row. Kenny Guyton, best backup player in America. J.T. Barrett, Heisman, I want to say 3 or 4 or 5th, whatever he finished. And then Cardell Jones. The number one, they're all competitors, and they're all guys that have bought into the system and really learned well. Obviously, they're talented, but each one had such different talents.
is it a reflection of the system that guys that it's quarterback-friendly system?
Sure.
Actually come in and do similar things?
Yeah, I made the comment that when I hear people say, well, he's a system quarterback, and usually I would see who says that, and usually probably has certainly never played quarterback, because a real quarterback would look at you and go, of course I'm a system quarterback. I'm a system linebacker too. I'm a system defensive end. Those without systems are usually the ones that don't know what to do. So they're very much system quarterbacks.
Similarities in what you do and what Oregon does.
Oregon's a great example too. Those are system quarterbacks. Very talented guys that do really well. So I think they know what they're doing, obviously.